Dear students, today we will discuss about the process of evolution. During the discussion, we will also define and explain the evolution and also the viewpoints of various scientists and their theories about evolution. A basic definition of evolution is that evolution is heritable change in a population through time. Now, it is necessary to break down each of these components of this definition a little bit further in order to better understand what that means. Heritable change with an emphasis on the heritable aspect. Most commonly, we used to refer to DNA, the genetic molecule that is passed on from parents to offspring, and codes for the basic development plan as to how our bodies develop through life. The second component of this notion of a population. Change, evolutionary change is not my change as an individual throughout my life. It is the change of the population that I am part of. We do not think of evolution in terms of the level of individual. We think of evolution as acting on populations. So, how population of individuals have heritable change? And the last notion is this concept of through time. Again, evolution is not my change from birth to death. That is something that we refer to as simply as development. Rather, evolution is how I differ from my parents, or even more, how my children differ from their grandparents, my parents. So, evolution occurs when the scale of generations, our point of focus is generally populations. And the component in which we are really looking at about are these changes which are heritable. Those changes which are passed on from one generation to the next. Now, there is a couple of challenges with this as we move into understanding of these questions in a fossil record. The first of all is that looking at fossils, we are not necessarily looking at populations. We are looking at individual specimens or perhaps samples of specimens. So, one of the first challenge is translating fossil waste data into population data. This notion of through time also comes into place when we look at fossil record. Fossils come from at times very specific point in time. What? Oftentimes from different points in time, and actually understand exactly how much time separate fossils can be a challenge, but something we certainly need to incorporate into the knowledge that we develop out of a fossil record. The final aspect in this notion of heritable change. When we are looking at the fossil records or the associated geological record, we are not looking at an evidence of DNA for the most part. So, my end of this class will certainly be talking a lot about inherited DNA. Instead, what we are talking about is more of logical change in fossils. Differences between skulls, differences between past cranial anatomy, between one specimen and another. We generally believe that differences in morphology correspond to underlying difference in genetic or heritable change. What? This is an issue that we will also further explore later in this class. What evolution is heritable change in a population through time. The geneticist Theodosius Dobzhansky in 1964 famously wrote, "Nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution." And the field of ecology is no exception to this broadly embraced principle. To study ecology without an understanding of evolutionary theory is to watch a sporting event without first learning the rules, players runs, points are scored, whistle thrills. What the guiding principle underlying these events remain a mystery. With an understanding of the rules, however, even the smallest intricacies of the game can be appreciated, even loved. So, it is with ecology, evolution provides a canon by which we may better understand the interactions of organisms with the environments. In this section, we define evolution as it is understood to modern biology and as it applies to ecology. So, comes to the brief introduction of the evolution. Biological evolution, simply put, is descent with modifications. This definition encompasses small scale evolution, that is, changes in gene frequency in a population from one generation to the next. And large scale evolution means the descent of different species from a common ancestor over many generations. Evolution helps us to understand the history of life. Biological evolution is not simply a matter of change over time. Lots of things change over time. For example, trees lose their leaves, mountain ranges rise and erode. But they are not examples of biological evolution because they do not involve descent through genetic inheritance. The central idea of biological evolution is that all life on earth shares a common ancestor, just as you and your cousins share a common grandmother. Through the process of descent with modification, the common ancestors of life on earth gave rise to the fantastic diversity that we see documented in the fossil record and around us today. Evolution means that we are all descent cousins, humans and oak trees, hummingbirds and whales. Evolutionary biology is the study of history of life forms on earth. What exactly is evolution? To understand the changes in flora and fauna that have occurred over millions of years on earth, we must have an understanding of the context of the origin of life, that is, evolution of earth, evolution of stars, and indeed of the universe itself. What follows is the longest of all the construed and conjectured stories. This is the story of origin of life and evolution of life forms or biodiversity on planet Earth in the context of evolution of Earth and against the background of evolution of universe itself. Now comes to the origin of life. When we are looking at stars on a clear night sky, we are in a way looking back in time. Stellar distances are measured in light years. What we see today is an object whose emitted light started its journey millions of years back and from trillions of kilometers away and reaching our eyes now. However, when we see objects in our immediate surroundings, we see them instantly and hence in the present time. Therefore, when we see stars, we apparently are peeping into the past. The origin of life is considered a unique event in the history of universe. The universe is vast. Relatively speaking, the earth itself is almost only a speck. The universe is very old, almost 20 billion years old. Huge clusters of galaxies comprises the universe. Galaxies contain stars and clouds of gas and dust. Considering the size of universe, earth is indeed a speck. The Big Bang theory attempts to explain to us the origin of universe. It talks of a singular huge explosion unimaginable in physical terms. The universe expanded and hence the temperature came down. Hydrogen and helium formed some time later. The gases condensed under gravitation and formed the galaxies of the present day universe. In the solar system of the Milky Way galaxy, Earth was supposed to have been formed about 4.5 billion years back. There was no atmosphere on early Earth. Water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide and ammonia released from molten mass covered the surface. The ultraviolet rays from the sun broke up water into hydrogen and oxygen, and the lighter hydrogen gas escaped. Oxygen combined with ammonia and methane to form water, carbon dioxide and others. The ozone layer was formed. As it cooled, the water vapor fell as rain to fill the depressions and form oceans. Life appeared 500 million years after the formation of Earth, that is, almost 4 billion years back. According to the Big Bang model, the universe expanded from an extremely dense and hot state and continue to expand today. Did life came from outer space? Some scientists believe that it came from outside. Early Greek thinkers thought units of life called spores were transferred to different planets including Earth. Panspermia is still a favorite idea for some astronomers. For a long time, it was also believed that life came out of decaying and rotting matter like straw, mud, etc. This was the theory of spontaneous generation. Louis Pasteur, by careful experimentation, demonstrated that life came only from pre-existing life. He showed that in pre-sterilized flask, life did not come from killed yeast, while in another flask open to air, new living organisms arose from killed yeast. Spontaneous generation theory was dismissed once and for all. However, this did not answer how the first life form came on earth. So, my dear students, today we have discussed about the process of evolution, and in the next chapter we will discuss about the different experiments like Oparin and Haldane experiments and Urey and Miller experiments. Thank you.